I first heard of Shine about 5 or 6 years ago. I was listening to the radio and one of the ladies that was being interviewed had a similar experience to me. And when I was a teenager, our family imploded, I guess. My father was sentenced to 3 years jail for corporate fraud. He actually served 6 months of those 3 years, but that was enough to send our whole world into a spin. It all started when I was about 13, and I guess he got out of jail, and with the aftermath of that, I was, I suppose, 19. So all of my teenage years, I was affected by this circumstance. I do have empathy with the children that I transport, because I take families to see their parents in prison. And I'm able to talk about my experience instead of just being a silly old baldy white-headed man that drives the car. For a young person, I guess that's the way they could look at me. But when I tell them my story, they open up and I can mentor them. I say that I've been through it, and look, I'm 64, I've got a great family, I've got plenty of support in life, I've been successful in business, and yeah, just keep going. That's my motto, just keep going. And these circumstances really can cause young people to either sink or swim. When you're young and you go through something like a parent going to jail, you can become very aggressive and very selfish, and in fact you have to be that to survive. So it's a sink or swim situation, and it takes a long time for you to sort your life out after that, because nobody likes selfish people and nobody likes aggressive people, and there are plenty in our society. So you've really got to wean that out of your character as you go through life. However, for you to survive when the circumstance that they find themselves in, and I found myself in, you must be that. Because if you don't, you could go to an extremely dark side, and of course youth suicide is predominant in the early teens, but it also is extremely predominant from 15 to 24. I am teaching them about resilience in a simplistic way, and as I said, my mantra is just keep going, and they can see that I've been through it and I've come out the other side. I've had a great family life, I've had a really good business life, and I've had a life, and now I'm passing my experiences on. I can see the penny drop because they start asking lots of questions, and sometimes over a period of 6 months, where I transport them maybe just once a month to see mum in prison, I think, oh, well, they haven't taken much notice, they haven't said anything. Then maybe 5 or 6 months down the track, they will come up with one of my sayings. So yes, and that's extremely rewarding. And I do tend to take an interest in the families that I've been transporting after the transport has stopped. I do follow them up, and just by phone calls and the odd visit, just to say, hey, I'm thinking of you and I'm looking at you. You remember what I said? The most important thing is contact with the parents, because when your parent goes to jail, you really become an outcast in society yourself, not just the parent in jail. And people feel rather uncomfortable with you, and therefore you lose a lot of support. Shine provides, I can say, a family environment in all things they do, whether it be activity days, transport, mentoring. Very, very important. It's not the be-all and end-all, but it sure helps a really good outcome for the child. I am passionate about what I do for them, because there was no Shine, as you say, back in the 1960s. If there was, I may have taken a different path. But what they do, not only transporting, but the activity days during school holidays, and the mentoring of children without a father or a mum or both, is just so important. one little Aboriginal boy that I looked after quite a long time, and he did not have a relationship with his mum. And by the end of the visits, they were cuddling and kissing, and that's a terrific thing. But the good thing about that is he has grown as a person, and his grandmother looks after him, and myriads of other children in the family, both children and grandchildren. I have such great admiration for Aboriginal grandmothers. But this particular young man has grown into a young man from, I started taking him, I guess, when he was 7 to see his mother. And it really is, it's satisfying for me, but that's not the point of it. It's seeing a human being develop under very adverse circumstances. I will keep doing this job until they don't want me anymore, I guess, because it is making some sort of contribution to society.